motorcycle segment is taking off in India, and we just cannot keep calm about it, for it is entry-level ADVs. We've got two of them to spend our day with, the Royal Enfield Himalayan and BMW Motorrad G310 GS.
Now these are the most affordable ADVs that money can buy, but the price difference between them is pretty massive. The big question then remains, which one should you buy and why?
While I like what I'm seeing when I look at the Himalayan, but I have to agree that the GS is a lot more premium looking product.
I'll agree with that. The Himalayan does have significant road presence, but the GS just grabs your attention. When it comes to design, the GS does look the part of a premium motorcycle. In fact, it looks slightly bigger than its size, drawing most of its design inspiration from the bigger F750 and F850 GS motorcycle. Telltale signs of that design is the beak in front, the wide midriff, and then the narrow tank so you can grip it while riding and while standing up while riding. Now, it does definitely look the part, but there's a lot of plastic and very little guards. And that's something that's really dangerous when you're riding an ADV off-road, because you drop it and you're probably going to break one of the plastics, and that's going to set you back because it is a BMW after all.
Royal Enfield have kept a simplistic approach to the Himalayan's design. It's almost like the design team was told, here's a frame, design an ADV around it. So it gets a tall stance, raised handlebars, a raised beak up front. But the result of all this is that the Himalayan is a capable looking ADV in itself, no pretense whatsoever.
Now what really sets the BMW apart is this 310cc single-cylinder DOHC motor that they've developed in collaboration with TVS. It's the same motor that goes into the RR310, but in this case it's been tuned for off-road and ADV use. It makes about 33 horsepower and 28 Nm of torque, which is slightly lower in terms of torque than the Himalayan, but it is a lot more powerful. The other thing that sets this motor apart is the smoothness and the lack of vibrations. You really have to push this motor hard to get some vibrations that come through the handlebars, but otherwise vibrations are kept at a minimum, which is really important for highway touring.
The Himalayan feels appropriately powerful with about 25 brake horsepower, but it does allow some instances where you're wishing for a bit more. During a ride to Leh, I felt the Himalayan was gasping for air just like I was beyond 14 to 15,000 feet above sea level, because the air tends to get thinner. So I felt there was a loss in power and simple overtaking maneuvers were a bit cumbersome. I may not have done a high altitude ride on the GS, but I reckon the Himalayan will be better in terms of performance because it also offers more torque than the GS.
Now when it comes to comfort, both the BMW and the Royal Enfield entry-level ADVs have it down. They have plush suspension, ample seats, and they're the kind of bikes that you can ride for hours on end without really getting tired. Problems for the BMW only start when you go off-road. The suspension is just too soft and there's too much feedback to the rider's shoulders, which can get really tiring off-road.
Well, on the other hand, the Himalayan offers much better damping, which is a better deal for off-roading. So you're standing on the foot pegs, the feedback from the handlebars is much less on your shoulders. The riding stance is much better on this bike, and the suspension setup allows better control as well. If you wish to slide on your motorcycle, however, the Himalayan will not allow that because the ABS cannot be switched off, but it can be on the GS. Not just about budget restrictions, if you're also restricted by height, the Himalayan will be a better bet because the seat height on this one is 35 mm lower than the 310 GS. Even if you are slightly below 5.5 feet, you will find it easy to handle this motorcycle. Well, in conclusion, the Himalayan offers much better off-road capability and is more of a functional motorcycle, and that's exactly what you're looking for when you're buying an ADV. The value for money on this bike is fantastic. It's almost half the price of the GS. However, you're bringing home a Royal Enfield, so be prepared for little knickknacks like the side stand falling off, which ours just did after a bit of off-roading. But maintaining this motorcycle is not going to hurt your pocket as much as the GS will.
Now the GS definitely looks the part and is a very premium motorcycle for its segment. It's the kind of bike you want if most of your touring is done on road. But if you're planning off-road and if you're planning mountain regions, the Himalayan is probably the safer bet because you drop the GS and it's probably going to cost you quite a bit. So in the end, if you want a proper motorcycle that's good for touring, good off-road and easy on the pocket, the Himalayan is probably the one you want to get. But if you want a motorcycle that looks good and has great refinement, GS is the one for you if money is no object.